All right, good morning. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Thank you very much for being here. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Thursday, July 10th. Today will be the start of Summer League out in Las Vegas. So thank you very much for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. We got a lot to get into today. A lot to get into. Looking forward to today's show. Looking forward to tonight as well. By the way, I'm going to do a little post-game show action tonight. A lot of hype behind this Summer League game. Cooper Flagg's first Summer League game. So that's going to be fun. So tonight I'll do a post-game show. We'll do it from my studio. So just kind of hang out with everybody. Something to keep in mind. Obviously, the world's not going to end whether the Lakers win this game or they don't. But it's going to be a fun way to start off Summer League. Thank you for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. A couple just quick reminders here before we get into our rundown. If you guys don't mind subscribing to the channel, would greatly appreciate that. If you don't mind considering a membership, that would be phenomenal. $3 a month to support the channel. Would greatly appreciate that as well. Okay, let me get just kind of into the rundown real quick, and then we'll keep things going here, and I'll read a couple of comments before we get started. So, rundown right here. Are Lakers done for the summer? I was reading a couple of articles last night, this morning. That's usually, I try to put some things together before I go to bed. And then this morning I wake up, see if there's anything fresh, new, and kind of add to some of the different storylines that I have. There was a tweet that I thought was interesting about Lakers still will be active, maybe expect something by the end of this month. But I kind of want to play things out here. If you'd have told me that the Lakers still haven't really made a move, the only move they've made is DeAndre Ayton. Yes, they got Jake LaRavia, but they also, in the process, gave up Dorian Finney-Smith, or at least didn't sign him. Excuse me. So we'll talk a little bit about if this is it for the Lakers. Are they done for the summer? And if they are done for the summer, what does that mean? What does that look like? So I'd be a little surprised if that is the case. That's kind of what we're heading towards, at least up to this point. Summer League will start tonight in Las Vegas, like I mentioned. Cooper Flagg, by the way, I think it's kind of funny. Maybe this is just me. Why are they hyping Cooper Flagg and Bronny together? I don't understand the association. There's no association. Just hype up Cooper Flagg. He's a number one pick, probably a generational talent. You don't have to, shove Bronny James down everybody's. And Bronny probably doesn't even care about any of that stuff. Summer League game tonight. Obviously, that's going to get started. So we'll get a chance to see Cooper Flagg. Sammy comes on every Thursday. Sammy comes on and joins us. So he'll join us in about 10 minutes or so. And we'll talk through a lot of these topics together. Always nice to have Sammy on. Giannis Antetokounmpo said something about his future, basically kind of reiterating he's probably going to stay in Milwaukee, said something to the effect of everybody wants him to go to LA and New York. I think whatever is happening in Milwaukee is temporary. I don't think I have a difficult time if Giannis is just worried about winning, thinking that's going to happen there. But I'll read some of the quotes that he had. He was streaming on, what's that guy's name? Speed. Very, very popular. But he was streaming, I think, on one of his platforms, something along those lines, and they talked about it for a quick second. We'll get into that. Lakers ownership structure. There's some news that came out yesterday in regards to when new ownership will officially take over, how long the Buss family will be involved. I thought it was interesting, kind of an interesting setup that they have here, at least over the next 5 years or so. We'll talk about that. And then there's a couple NBA stories to get into. I'm sure some NBA rumors going on. Bradley Beal still hasn't signed anywhere. So we'll kind of wait for any of that stuff to go down in the next, obviously probably by Monday. You got to imagine that a lot of that stuff gets cleared up, but we'll see what eventually happens. All right, let me get to a couple of the comments here, and then we'll keep things rolling. So let me take a look here. What do people got to say as we get started here? All right, somebody's got a quote here. Ocean Breeze always coming through with a quote here. Be a reflection of what you'd like to receive. If you want love, give love. If you want truth, be truthful. If you want respect, give respect. What you give out will always return. It's a great quote right there. Phenomenal way of looking at things. Good morning, Slee. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, chat. Morning. Good morning to you as well. Good morning. Everybody's so polite on this chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate the love, and good morning to everybody as well. All right, let me see one more here. As long as Jeannie, get this one in, as long as Jeannie does not meddle in the nuts and bolts of personal decisions, could also apply to Pelinka, to be honest. Okay, so we'll get into that, the ownership structure that I'm talking about. So let's get the show started. As always, thank you very much for being here. I know there's a lot of different places you guys can go to for whatever your content is. The fact that you guys, whether you're here every single day, which I know a lot of you are, or you're here kind of popping in and out depending on stories, I appreciate you guys being here. Cheers to everybody. Hope you're enjoying your cup of coffee. Full cup today. Full cup today. Kind of got up a little bit early. I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. Okay, let's get started here. And this is part of the reason why this conversation kind of came up in my own head today. Somebody had put a tweet out there, and then I read something that Brett Siegel, who does some work around the NBA, I think Clutch Points is what he does as well. Somebody had put out a tweet and said kind of what's going on with the Lakers. And he responded back, they're actively looking for a new defensive player on the perimeter/wing, which is not new news. We knew coming into the offseason, the Lakers had a couple of goals. One of those goals was, I think, the most clear-cut goal: go grab yourself a center. Find a way to go get a big man. Everybody knows. I mean, if there's one team that had a glaring weakness, the Lakers had a glaring weakness when it came to their big and it came to their center. They didn't have one. So they went out and addressed that DeAndre Ayton. But right after that, it was, hey, Lakers are also looking for a defensive wing, a 3-and-D guy, somebody that could play both sides of the ball. So that part, I think, is not too surprising. Here's what Brett Siegel said. They're actively looking for a new defensive player on the perimeter/wing. I'd expect them to make a trade for one, as in a defensive player on the perimeter of the wing, by the end of the month. There could be a lot of factors why the Lakers are sitting the way they are. There could be a lot of factors that have kind of played into this offseason so far for the Lakers. Some of it could be it takes two to tango, and the Lakers can't find a trade partner that they feel like is reasonable and realistic, and they'd rather just be more responsible than just act so people can say, hey, Lakers made a move. Completely okay with that. That's actually a much smarter strategy than I think fans typically want. The fans typically want that front office. Well, just do something. Well, you don't have to just do something. I talked about it when we were getting ready for free agency and free agency started. You started seeing some of these centers come off the board. And the moment one center came off the board, the reaction was, well, there's another center that's gone. Well, there's another center that's gone. And by the time you got 24 hours into free agency, Lakers hadn't done anything. And one of the messages that I had is like, everybody relax for a second. I mean, do you want to pay Dorian Finney-Smith 4 years? Now, I know there's going to be more details in that contract, so we'll see what eventually happens there and what it looks like. Lakers went younger, a little bit cheaper in that position. Okay, so they didn't get Brook Lopez. They didn't get Clint Capella this. Well, they certainly had a game plan. They knew DeAndre Ayton was going to become available, and I'd rather have Ayton than a lot of those other guys. There could be a lot of factors. You don't have to be first in order to be effective. And I think there's probably a lot of factors of why the Lakers are sitting here today. However, if you told me free agency would be about 10 days in, NBA draft, remember how much hype there was about the draft? Oh my gosh, there's going to be so many trades. This is going to happen. That's going to happen. That's now been about 2.5 weeks since all that started and since all that went down. And as we sit here today, Lakers really haven't made any moves. And I'm talking about from a trade perspective. It was great that you went out and got DeAndre Ayton. You didn't have to give up any assets to go get him. All you had to do was basically pay money for potentially 2 years to have him, probably more likely 1 year. But you kept Rui and you kept Gabe and Maxi Kleber, all those expiring contracts that you have. Dalton Connect still on the team, now part of Summer League, obviously was a part of the Cali Classic. You still got that first rounder in 2031. I think the Lakers have been responsible so far in the offseason. But as we also sit here today, it's kind of like, well, is this it? Let's say another team, let's say a deal doesn't present itself. Let's say the Lakers find themselves by the end of the month still sitting back and saying to themselves, all right, well, we still don't like what the market is. We still don't like what the deals are out there. Will the Lakers actually roll the ball back out in October come training camp? And this is basically the team that they've put together. If that is the case, it indicates a couple of things for me. Number one, it indicates that, like I said, the market wasn't impressive enough for the Lakers to go out there and give up real assets. It also indicates to me that the team is wildly incomplete. I mean, I don't think you could really look at this team and be honest with yourself and say, yep, they're top 3 or top 4 in the Western Conference. Maybe if you really, really want to make a case, you could say they're top 4 in the Western Conference. But I think, you're stretching a little bit if you're trying to make that argument. And does it just come down to then the Lakers saying to themselves, all right, and we've seen Pelinka do this. Pelinka's made basically all the trades that he's made so far. He's made them at the trade deadline. He hasn't necessarily made them in the summer. Now, he's still got a lot of time. There's still a lot of stuff being worked out. I mean, let me just give you how incomplete the NBA is right now. And maybe a lot of this just has to do with the structure of the NBA. Maybe a lot of this just has to do with this is today's NBA where it's a little bit more difficult to make deals. But Golden State Warriors are still trying to figure out what to do with Jonathan Kuminga. That could be something that plays out, and then there's a trickle effect to whatever that looks like. There's other teams out there that are still trying to figure out, is Miami going to hold on to Andrew Wiggins? Are there's still other pieces to be dropped that I think a lot of the times once one of those dominoes falls, Bradley Beal, does he end up with the Clippers? Does he end up whichever team that he ends up with? When that domino falls, does that mean now teams can start making moves again and there's going to be a little bit more action? So I kind of think the summer it feels very incomplete at the moment. And what I can't tell is if it's incomplete because there's just a natural process that the league's got to go through and players got to figure out what they're going to do. And then teams will then make decisions based on what that player does. Or are the Lakers just looking at the roster and saying, we just don't like any moves out there. And if we don't like them, then we're not going to make a move. I respect that, by the way. If Pelinka in the front office, if they eventually look at this team and they look at the roster, knowing that it's incomplete, knowing that, is this team good enough right now to hang with the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, or the Denver Nuggets? If you're asking me, I'd tell you no, they're not. They're not good enough to hang with those 3 teams. Maybe then after that, you could start, making arguments of, well, how about Minnesota, or how about the Clippers, or how about the Golden State Warriors, or how about the Dallas Mavericks? We can probably have some conversations there, and you can sell me one way or the other. And I could certainly sell myself that they're not better than some of the teams that I just mentioned. But is Pelinka looking at this and saying to himself, I'm not going to just do things just to do them. We'll take our time. We'll be patient. If a deal just doesn't present itself in the summer, then I'm going to hold up and wait. And if that means now I got to wait till the trade deadline, or I got to wait till the season starts, then I'll wait till the season starts. I'll wait till the trade deadline. My assets that I have are still valuable. It's still valuable to have Rui and Maxi Kleber and Gabe Vincent in expiring contracts. It's also still valuable to have Dalton Connect and have that first rounder. I don't think any of those are going to lose value at, obviously when the season progresses. But sitting here today, I'm also not going to lie. I'm surprised that no move has been made. I'm surprised that the Lakers weren't a little bit more active in the summer so far. I'm surprised that there wasn't a trade already to go get that perimeter wing player, defensive perimeter wing player that the Lakers need. I'm surprised that some of the assets that the Lakers have and they've been holding on to are still there. So still a lot, obviously, to figure itself out. Still very, I guess you can't call it very early in free agency because we're about 10 days in right now. Back in the day, it was common for, by the time the first week was over, it's pretty much free agency was done. But I still think there's, deals to be made, players to be figured out. The buyout market's got to get figured out once Bradley Beal gets bought out and what the trickle effect of all that is. And we'll see if there's a ripple effect for the Lakers in regards to that. So something to just keep in mind there. But when I did see that this morning, one of the things that popped to my mind was like, is that it? Are they done? Is there not going to be anything else left for the Lakers? Are they not going to make another move? And if that is the case, it would be a little bit surprising to me. But I think at the same time, maybe this is just kind of the position that the Lakers are in, and we'll figure out if that changes or not. Okay, I do definitely want to start out the show talking a little bit about Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. We know the draft's done. Free agency, we're right in the middle of it. Everybody's reloading, making moves, trying to get that edge for next season. That's exactly what Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm do, except their offseason is in the courtroom and their free agent. It's big cases. I've known Brad for about 5 years now. This guy certainly has a commitment to his craft. Certainly, there's a reason why he has one of the best reputations as an injury attorney in the entire state of California, is because he takes care of his clients and he's not just settling with an insurance company. He's not looking for the quick buck and then he's out of there. I'll give you an example. Just last month, $4.6 million jury verdict. It's not a fluke. That's game film, that's reps, that's execution, and everything is under pressure. I like giving the comps of what it would be if somebody was in the front office or somebody was playing a game in basketball, because that's kind of what it is in his industry for him. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. That's the website you can go to and get an absolutely free consultation. Get in touch with somebody from Brad Wallace's team at the Wallace firm, or get in touch with Brad Wallace specifically. I can make a personal introduction. If you're dealing with something, it's a serious injury, a wrongful death case, it's you, a family member, whatever the case is, just talk to Brad Wallace and see if he could point you in the right direction. WallaceWins.com/Sliwa, WallaceWins.com/Sliwa. I'm very appreciative of their partnership, and thank you for being supportive of our sponsors and our partners. Okay, let's welcome in our guy here. Sammy Long he's ready to go, so let's welcome in Sammy. Sammy, good morning, sir.
Alan,
what's up, brother?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. I just so the show must go on because I just spilled water all over my desk here. But
go clean it up. Is it near the computer and everything else?
No, it's away. It's far enough away. There might be some mold, but it's okay. It's not. This isn't really my desk.
So okay, so it's not your desk, so you're okay with it. You can live with the results there. You can live with the results.
They can deal with it later. It's just
do you do coffee in the morning or no?
Of course, always have to do a little coffee in the morning. I saw you got a full cup this morning.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of coffee. You know, I might feel a little dehydrated by the time the show's over. You gotta hydrate here. Gotta hydrate.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Sometimes if you don't have I used to never drink coffee, and then I started living by myself, and then I started drinking coffee, and now I get headaches if I can't live without it. It's pretty bad.
No, I know. We all kind of have run into that. Okay, let me ask you. We just hit on one of the topics here. Surprised? July 10th? The only moves that have been made for the Lakers are you picked up Ayton, but you did that in, obviously the route that you took for Ayton. You didn't have to go make a trade. Jake LaRavia. That's really it. They haven't done it. I know they traded up in the draft, but that will. I don't think you're really expecting somebody in the second round to instantly come make an impact. You surprised that that's it?
No, because I actually think that I think everyone kind of forgets that Luka was the move, and that's why maybe I'm a little bit higher, maybe, and I'm with you in the sense that they're behind Oklahoma City right now, Denver, and Houston. That's fair. I think you look at the roster, roster for roster, and they're above. But we did really never get to see this team totally healthy. And we only for a limited amount of time got to see LeBron and Luka. Maybe LeBron's out of town. Apparently they're frustrated right now, but I'm going to assume that LeBron is going to be there for the season. And then you add LaRavia, who I think is a bigger ad than people might realize. He was a nice player in Sacramento, getting traded from Memphis. And what he does, he makes Connect expendable. So I think that was also a move to get a shooter, but then also realize that if there's a deal that comes along for Connect, you can deal him because you also just signed a 23-year-old shooter. And then the Ayton thing,
I'm curious about LaRavia. I'm be excited to watch him play. I'm curious to see how. I feel like there are a lot of people that are optimistic about him. I was okay with taking kind of I hate saying it this way, the kind of cheaper, younger, instead of going and Dorian Finney-Smith, which is 32, and you're going to have him for at least maybe 34, 35 years old. I was okay with that. I'm curious about him.
That's what with the Lakers, it's just, listen, I'm not sitting here saying Jake LaRavia is some Hall of Famer because he's not. He's extremely unproven. They signed him based on upside. But I'd rather take that and a young player in Ayton who is a solid player. He's not a number one overall draft pick. He's not some elite center that everyone thought he was, especially when you get taken in the same draft as Luka and Trae Young. But he's a solid player, and you got to give him some credit. I mean, Phoenix was an absolute mess that he was dealing with and expected to be the guy. So I like that they got younger. I think that you finally get to see this team with a center. I wonder what they can do, and we'll see here in a couple months.
All right, I got a question for you because you said that you're not that surprised because Luka came. They got Luka at the trade deadline. I think maybe that's what surprised me, that nothing's really happened because of Luka. I don't think they need to justify, or I don't think they need to, let me use the fan base as an example. To appease me and you it doesn't really matter, right? Like to appease the fan base. I'm not saying that the fan base doesn't matter. I'm just saying that the fan base is going to be emotional and irrational one way or the other. But I think it's because they got Luka. It's, well, let's make sure we're getting Luka what he wants and what he needs and drag through the mud out of his way in Dallas. And I think that's my point more, is that you would just imagine that they're a little bit more aggressive because Luka's on the roster, because Luka got here at the deadline.
Yeah, and well, that's why I think everyone thought Dorian Finney-Smith would resign, because they were.
I agree.
They were friends, and they clearly, you see them on the court. They were buddies, played together in Dallas.
Yeah.
But I like that they're having a shift where it's not, hey, let's just appease a player. And if you're going to do it, it's going to be Luka, not LeBron. But because LeBron is going to be 41. But I like that they kind of are going against the grain of what the Lakers normally did. Remember the year they signed Rondo and Carmelo Anthony, and everyone over the age could have been a retirement home? I mean, that was like the least fun Lakers season to ever watch, because there was no
didn't make the playoffs.
Didn't make the playoffs. There was no development. There was no young players that you look at and go, hey, this guy could be good in a couple of years. I like what they're doing, and they're kind of doing a reset. And I think that if we're looking, optimistically, that means that Luka's probably here for the long run.
It's interesting. I saw this yesterday, and it came out, New York Times, Sam Amick had it as well. And just as we're, kind of talking a little bit about the structure of the Lakers and what they do moving forward, you see that article about Evan Sidery put this on Twitter. Although the Lakers sold for $10 billion to Dodgers owner Mark Walter, Jeanie Buss will remain the team's governor through 2030. According to the sale agreement, the Buss family remains in primary control for at least 5 more years. What goes through your mind when I say that? Just kind of your initial reaction when you get a little bit more details of, okay, hey, yeah, the Lakers are sold, but it's not like they're just handing the keys over tomorrow.
I think it's interesting the time the report came out. We heard this report yesterday about how, and then last week about how LeBron was really close to Jeanie, and one of the main reasons he signed, along with Magic, who's obviously not there anymore, and Pelinka's been there. I think it's interesting how there's a report yesterday about how LeBron is, they're in an iffy spot and they're not necessarily all there, and then all of a sudden, Jeanie's here for the next 5 years, and they're making that very clear. And I'm fine with it. Listen, I mean, Jeanie said what you want, but I think she has, been good over the years. But at the end of the day, Walter's calling the shots. I think that's a PR thing, giving kind of credence to the Buss family, because they have done so much for LA and for the city. But yeah, I think it's interesting the timing of that report. Do you think there's anything to that, or like?
Well, I know initially when the sale was announced, they had basically said like, hey, Jeanie's staying on board as governor. So that was part of the details when that initially came out. I think what yesterday was a little bit surprising. I guess the Buss family remains in primary control for at least 5 more years. That part surprised me a little bit. I wasn't expecting that. I kind of thought this was going to be, and if I got to be honest with you, I think there was a little bit of, and this has nothing to do with the Buss family or with Jeanie or any of that stuff, but I think there's a little bit of, disappointment to think like, oh, so this is going to take a while. Like, okay, does this mean now that is there too many cooks in the kitchen? Which I already think there was too many cooks in the kitchen. Now you have this kind of transition between ownership. What does that look like? Okay, let's say hypothetically speaking, a year from now, there's a big trade that the Lakers are trying to make. How many people have to approve that in order to say, hey, I think this is a good idea? And then will there come a point where there's is there somebody from the Buss family and there's somebody from the Walter group that's like, yeah, I disagree with that.
But that's the point. I don't see Walter's calling the shots. I think this is a PR throwing Jeanie a bone a little bit, because it's like, at the end of the day, if they're literally taking over the team, the Buss family is not going to call the shot over. If Walter calls down and goes, hey, this is happening, I don't, maybe it does happen. I don't see that. I feel like it's kind of a respect thing to the Buss family because they've done so much. But hey, maybe they are calling the shots. I'm obviously not in those meetings. But I mean, do you think that Jeanie would literally be able to override a decision from Walter?
I think. Listen, if you're remaining as the governor for at least another 5 years, your opinion's going to matter. So, I don't know if it's a matter of, hey, I don't think it's a matter of Jeannie saying, I said this and that's it. Like, I don't think she even operates like that. I think she's more, having the conversation with everybody else and they come to a decision. But I got a difficult time just, everybody's talking and the Bus family's talking. And then Mark Walter walks in and it's like, well, I say this and this is how it goes. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like that's how it's going to be, but maybe it's just this really slow transition for, the franchise and the team. Let me read one of these here. Dave, hopefully just the business end and nothing to do with personal decisions. Hope they hire a solid upper management group.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you what that does. If it is a 5-year window, hypothetically, that also gives Pelinka the time. It also kind of gives also the ownership to get them. I mean, 5 years is plenty of time. What do you need? A year to figure out at the most, what's working here and what's not working here. But certainly it will give people that are still currently under the Bus family or under that umbrella, gives them a hell of a lot of time to, obviously figure out what their next move is going to be. Cause 5 years is a long time. That one was a little surprising to me.
Yeah. I feel like this is kind of Walter saying without saying, hey, we're not going to, because everyone's throwing out, not that this would happen, but Sam Presti, or like who are they going to go get? Is Pelinka's job immediately on the line?
Just got extended too.
Right. So I think this is kind of saying, hey, we like what you guys have done. Except
it's a good PR thing.
It's a good PR thing, and we're going to add some more money.
I see that.
So, because even though people have frustrations with Jeannie and maybe not spending the way everyone has wanted to, especially for an organization that is so rich as the Lakers that just got sold for, $10 billion. But she hasn't been horrible with exec decisions at times, not always been great. I think this is more of a respect thing. I really don't think that she's going to override Walter on calls.
All right, so here's what we got. And what I think what will be interesting is we'll kind of have to just watch that all play out and see what that looks like. And whatever our assumption is, really doesn't mean anything until we actually see them in a predicament where it's like, all right, yeah, you can feel the imprint of ownership or whatever the case is. Summer League game tonight. Look, Cooper Flagg action. And okay, first let me.
Price ticket ever.
What's that?
It's the highest price ticket ever.
By the way, I think that I haven't been watching Summer League for 15 years or whatever the case is, but it just kind of shows you where Summer League is today. I mean, and not even just Summer League, but the NBA in general. The fact that the NBA, for as much shit as the NBA gets, and people sit back and say, "Oh, I don't even watch the product anymore. I don't even care." The NBA is ruined because of this, that. They get a $70+ billion new deal with all their networks. Okay. They still dominate when you come towards free agency. And here we are in a Summer League game, and they're literally making something out of nothing. These are just kids that these are games that don't even mean anything. And they have found a way to at least take a market share. I'm not telling you they're the NFL. I'm not telling you that, they're the most popular sport in the world. No, I'm not trying to tell you that. What I'm trying to tell you is they've carved themselves a piece of the pie. And for as much hate as the NBA gets, the NBA is also doing a lot of things that I think is bringing attention to their league.
Completely. I have this debate all the time, and no one's the NFL. You take the NFL, if MLB tries to compare to that or college, no one's even close.
Can I give you one comp too? And nothing is soccer around the world. Right. So there's always going to be probably a sport that gets one-upped. Yeah. In around the world, soccer is the most popular sport. In the States, it's clearly obviously the NFL.
Right. And the NBA skews, you heard this debate a lot. The NBA skews it's huge on social media. It actually has one of the
younger too.
It skews younger. And that's the thing of, go to a bar or a restaurant and you'll see the most NFL hats wherever you are. I live in San Diego and I see a gazillion Laker hats at the gym I go to. But the NBA is that narrative of, if you want to say, oh, the season's too long or 82 games, people don't care. Well, then what the hell is baseball? And I love baseball, but I'm saying that's 162, and it's hard to put a lot of analysis on one single game. Yeah, the NBA does do a good job selling, and I think it's only going to get better with the fact that the Western Conference is so stacked. And there's not, even though the Thunder look like they could be a dynasty team, you don't have a Warriors situation where they're so much better than everyone.
I agree.
That it's like now it feels not kind of fun because there's not really a thing.
Let me tie it back here real quick, and then we'll get in because I think looking at the rest of the Western Conference and where the Lakers are, I think is interesting. So Summer League tonight, Cooper Flagg, like you mentioned, highest ticket price right now, and they've never sold tickets. I think it was just average ticket price is $200 just to go to a Summer League game, which is really cool in itself. But that just shows you, the Cooper Flagg piece of this. What are you? Can Cooper Flagg? Listen, Lakers are going to try to win a game in the summer league, and I know that NBA is pushing they got to stop pushing this narrative. They're showing Cooper Flagg and Bronny, and I'm like, I don't even understand what the comps are here.
Are you saying Bronny's not a generational talent?
By the way, I'm rooting for Bronny. I want to see this. I thought I love what he did in the G League. I think he does have some potential. Is what it is. But can we stop Cooper Flagg versus Bronny James? I'm like, what the hell are we talking about? But anyways, whatever sells. How much do you think Cooper Flagg can have an impact in his rookie year on a team that is interesting? I'm not telling you that the Mavs are. Listen, when the Mavs made the trade, their thought process was we got a 2-3 year window to try to win an NBA championship. So they're in their window, and it hasn't helped them that OKC is OKC. Houston just got better. Denver, I think, got better. Can Cooper Flagg in his rookie year have this real impact on the Dallas Mavericks and kind of take them back into that conversation that Nico Harrison thought they would be in?
Well, totally, especially because sadly Kyrie got hurt. So now they're going to, outside of Anthony Davis, you're looking at Cooper Flagg as best player on the team. So, and like, not wishing this on anyone, but we know that, Anthony Davis has had his struggles staying on the court. And Cooper Flagg's an interesting spot because him and Dylan Harper both went to teams that have legit playoff aspirations, and not just to get to the playoffs, aspirations to make a little run in the postseason. If Cooper Flagg had went to the Wizards or went to Charlotte or one of these teams, and he gets to just got to be the best player on the team, and people are watching, but they know they're not going to win a lot of games and try to get a lottery pick next year. It is interesting to see these top two guys and how they adjust, because Cooper Flagg, if there's not really time for him to suck immediately. Now, I don't think he's going to. He's literally is a generational player, and it was fantastic in college, and made all the.
He's going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud.
He's going to be a star. It's outside of injuries, I don't really see anything making him not that. But it is interesting that he's going to have to lead this team, and you're on a team with a bunch of veterans too. Klay Thompson, PJ Washington. I mentioned Anthony Davis.
They got bigs all over the place as well. That's as big as you get.
And who went to a finals 2 years ago. So this isn't a team where it's kind of just the Cooper Flagg show and everyone else kind of watching and everything. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. It's going to be a fun kind of storyline to watch, but he looks like a stud. So I do,
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching the game tonight. I think just that, I think the regular storylines that you have, and just anytime you see a brand new player that gets drafted in the league, it's one of these top picks. Dylan Harper, I'm looking forward to watch him play. There's definitely some players that will come out of this draft that you'll spend a little bit of summer league like, all right, let me see what this guy looks like. Granted, it's not your actual NBA game. They're playing against other guys that are first or second year, or guys that are just trying to make the league. But Cooper Flagg tonight, the first time that's going to be fun, and it's against the Lakers.
I think what's fun about the summer league is, yes, they're one of the best players in there, but you see second year players destroy, who maybe were terrible in their first rookie season in summer league. Then the second season they look like
Remember Max Christie in his second year in summer league?
Yeah. I mean, everyone.
Max Christie, I was like, we got the next. This is the greatest player I've ever seen in my life. But you're right, the difference between first and second year players.
Remember the summer league that the Lakers won with Lonzo and everything, and everyone
they won it that year, right? With him and Kuz, and
that was a fun team. But I'm excited to see a player like Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma who went to the Pelicans, because I'm curious how he's got all the skill in the world, but he is so small, and that was kind of the reason why he went number 7 overall. I'm curious to see how they adjust to a game where they may have been playing even some better players at certain times, and maybe late in the tournament in March Madness. Not that they're better than pro guys, but in terms of the possible talent. But now you're playing grown men, so I'm curious to see how that kind of works and before the season gets going.
Did you see this stuff with Giannis this morning. Did you read any of that stuff?
That feels like a mistake to me, but that's just not even just about the Lakers. I don't know what you. I'm curious to get your thoughts on it because
Okay, let me catch people up to. I'm going to say catch people up to Speed. It was on Speed Stream, so Speed, who's very well known, obviously in all social
I love
platforms.
you saying that. By the way, I heard that
know.
this morning, and I was like, Alan breaking down as streamers is something I didn't know was on the bingo card today.
Here's what happens with Speed. I'm going to tell you with Speed individually. I'll tell you specifically what happened with this guy. Number one, I would see him in like these. One time he was on, some type of podcast, and Durant was on there, and Durant was kind of hating on him, and Speed was like, "This is my idol," and I'm like, "I don't know what's going on here." And the next thing I see is I start seeing some commercials where Speed is on these commercials for Dick's and whatever he's on, right?
Locker, right? The one with KD and where they're
all. Yep. Yeah. And then I just start getting fed Speed streams. Like I just start getting these, when he's in China and he's live streaming and he's hitting these like wild live streaming numbers. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? So now I feel like I'm an expert with Speed. And when I saw the story this morning and it said Giannis was with Speed, I'm like, what? You know who you're talking to? Of course I know who Speed is.
Speed's #1 fan.
Of course I know. He's got Ronaldo on. He's got Ronaldo on all day. Of course I know.
And all the 14 and 15-year-olds in America that are watching the stream all day.
And China.
In China. And Alan Sliwa are locked in to the stream all day. Just tapped in.
All right, let me give everyone a quick idea on my favorite streamer. Okay, so Giannis was on, and here's what he said. He said while they were talking, and this was, I guess, just it was kind of just a very brief conversation, but of course it's going to make news because it's Giannis. And coming into the draft and coming into free agency and coming into this offseason, one of the biggest storylines is, hey, is Giannis staying in Milwaukee or is he not? So here's what he said. Lots of people are trying to convince me to go play there. And he's talking about New York and LA. And then he said, and then he was asked, so you staying in Milwaukee? That's what Speed asked him. And then he comes back and says, probably. We'll see. I love Milwaukee. And then I think he said, I love Milwaukee a couple different times. And he said, we'll see. And then they just kind of quickly changed the subject. But I think that there's two pieces to this. The portion that he said, everybody's trying to get him to go play in either LA or New York. It's funny when I watched their offseason, when I got a chance to see, what the Bucks were doing, there's a couple things that came to mind. And whether it was the re-signing a lot of the same players, Taurean Prince and, whoever it is, just kind of go down the list of some of the different players, Bobby Portis, they lose Brook Lopez. Okay, then they stretch Dame, which, just from my personal opinion, I thought that was I don't think that's a smart move. I don't think it's smart to have 15% of your cap to Dame for the next 5 years. I don't think that's smart. They go out and sign Miles Turner, probably overpaid for him, but, I have a difficult time with that one. I don't think that's the right move for the Bucks long term, but I also understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
My issue with the Bucks, the word that kind of comes into play is there's some desperation from the Milwaukee Bucks. I had Bobby Marks on, who front office insider for ESPN, and Bobby Marks said something, and this is somebody that worked in a front office for years, and he said that you try to do everything to hold on to a star. You just never know when you're going to get a star, and unless the star comes to you and says that I want out, you do everything in your possible power to make sure that you're accommodating to your star. And it's like, yeah, okay, I get that. I understand that. I don't know if they've made a case to me, and making a case to me means nothing. Are they making a case to Giannis that we got a chance to compete for the next couple of years, look at our roster and look at the direction that we're going in? I don't get that feeling at all from the Milwaukee Bucks. And if I'm Giannis, I think he's there this year, but I got a difficult time thinking that that's where he's going to spend the next 3, 4, 5 years of his career.
Yeah, listen, I'm not Giannis, but it's a mistake. This is now Mike Trout never won a title, but he's going to be the Mike Trout of the NBA. So
he can't. Because he already won a championship. Like I don't think that's the comp. Here's the problem with Giannis. Giannis can end his career today, and he will have been one of the, I don't want to use the word greats, but I'm saying he was one of the elite players in our generation, and he won a championship in Milwaukee. Honestly, I think he's accomplished if he does nothing else the rest of his career, I already think he's accomplished amazing things. I just don't like the Mike Trout comp because
that's fair.
Trout never won. I don't even think they ever won a playoff game, right? They went to the playoffs once and got swept.
Yeah, once and 3. Yeah. The reason I said Mike Trout is, not fair because he did win a title. But in the sense of you're in Anaheim and you're one of the best players of the last decade and no one talks about you. Like, it's just, I'm sorry. Like, no one talks about Mike Trout. It's just he's kind of rotting away in Anaheim. And it feels like if he would have requested a trade, if he would have went to a Phillies, hell, there's a gazillion teams there, it would be the same thing. Giannis, it feels like, listen, if he's cool, he just wants to be Milwaukee's hero, and he got him a title and all that stuff, that's great. But if you want to up the brand, if you want a real shot, Giannis, to your point, has the shot to being an all-time great, which he is an all-time great. But I mean, like, you can't just be like one of the best with one title. If he were to go somewhere, I'm not even just talking about the Lakers, talking about New York, just somewhere else. And I don't see with Milwaukee them winning anytime soon. Miles Turner felt like a rushed move because they literally needed to be able to say something to Giannis like, hey, we got this. We got someone for you. They have a great front court between Giannis and Bobby Portis and him. But the guard spot's one of the worst after cutting Dame in the entire league. Like, they're not even in Eastern Conference. I think they're like 6th or 7th on Vegas odds. They're not anywhere close to getting to a championship. Giannis, he's what, 30, 31, something like that, 32. It feels like a mistake to just keep waiting and waiting, and I don't know.
Here's what I'll say. I don't have a problem if Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee because he just doesn't want to move around, and that's what he feels like. I respect that. I'm okay with it. I don't think you have to go chasing for a title. I really don't. I think if he wants to, Dirk Nowitzki will be thought of as one of the greats in the NBA, and he stayed in Dallas and he only won one championship. You can have that resume. That's okay. But the things that have come out of Giannis's mouth is I don't want to have one championship. I don't want to be remembered as somebody that only won one. I think the point that I'm making more than anything else is I respect if Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee. I really do. But if your goal is to win, I just don't think it's going to happen in Milwaukee. I think that's the point.
That's the point as well. Is if I'm respected too. If he's like, I am a Buck, I am going to be here till I retire. That's great. That's cool. But if you're sitting here, like, where there's smoke, there's fire. Some of these reports are real about Giannis potentially wanting out, and he was pissed that they dropped Dame, all this kind of stuff. It feels like like, what have the Bucks shown you that you were thinking about a trade a month ago, to then now to think that you're any closer to a championship?
I think the only thing they've showed, honestly, is that they've buried their future even more. But if there's one thing that they've showed is, Giannis may be looking at this and saying, if there's ever a window in the Eastern Conference, it's right now. Tell me the teams in the East coming into this upcoming season. Celtics got worse because of injuries and because they're just strategically trying to reshape the team. Yeah. We know that the Indiana Pacers got worse. Tyrese Halliburton probably out all season. They just lose Miles Turner. What are the teams in the Cavs? I think Cavs are a fair question mark of, you're not really sure. They've never got past the second round, at least with this, this team that they have. The only case that Giannis can be making is, I'm going to be here for one more year and let me see what happens, because the favorites will probably be the Knicks to get out of the Eastern Conference. We'll see what other moves happen or anything like that. But if you ask me a year from now, I think at some point it's just a matter of time. Giannis is going to go to the Bucks and say, guys, we did everything we can together. I think I'm ready to move on. And if he wants to pick and specify which team he wants to go to, he's going to make it tough for the Bucks to obviously get the proper return back.
Right. I think they're like 6 right now in odds, because the Cavs are the favorite, then the Knicks. I think the Magic got up there because after the Bane trade. The Celtics are still like down 4-5 because of Jalen Brown.
I wonder where the Pistons are. They had a decent. Atlanta has had a pretty good offseason, even
Miami
though
had decent odds.
And I think the point in the Eastern Conference is it doesn't really matter what the odds are. Everyone's kind of in play. I mean, I would
Yeah.
think the Knicks are the favorite. They also just changed their head coach. Like there's nothing is perfect in the East.
Yeah, it's listen, Giannis' prerogative. I just feel like you're kind of wasting years and you're losing steam after that 2021 title. But again, he gets to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see what eventually happens in regards to that. I think there will come a time where Giannis, I mean, I've said this before. I think there will come a time where Giannis is going to look at a situation, and I think he could respectfully, with Milwaukee, say, we had an unbelievable partnership. It's time to move on. And it feels like that's probably more likely in the next year than him saying, I'm committing to being here for the rest of my career.
And last thing, his teammate, his former teammate Damian Lillard, I think, is a prime example of this. Probably waited a little too long. It was all Portland. Then they got him out when he was older, and now unfortunately we're looking at massive injuries for him.
The only difference I think will still be the foundation of he did win a chip in Milwaukee. Like that's some he has an NBA championship, and not with the Lakers or not with the Warriors or not with the Bucks. Like I do think that not with the Celtics. No, he did it somewhere where they hadn't won a championship since Kareem 50 years ago.
It's true. I just also think people, and I'm not the one who does this, but people do caveat that. Remember that Brooklyn team was completely hurt. KD was the only guy playing. Like it was a very favorable path to a title. I'm not taking it away from him because he won the title and he did it. But it feels like if you really want to cement something, I would be asking out right now. But if he's loyal to Milwaukee, then he's loyal to Milwaukee.
I will say this. I mean, I thought if there was a time to trade him, I did think it was this summer. I think if also I'm Milwaukee, and especially you started getting those teams like the Mavs, like the San Antonio Spurs, who had the number 1 pick, number 2 pick. I'm like, damn, you want to start your reboot and maybe get, potentially a star or a couple stars on your roster and start, but that's not what's going to happen. Okay. One other thing, might hit a couple of other things here real quick. So I got the, you probably saw this yesterday. The schedule came out. Again, this is the NBA just milking everything. The 2025 Emirates NBA Cup, Lakers in the West Group B with the Mavericks, Clippers, Grizzlies, and Pelicans. Okay, let me ask you this real quick. Not that I looked at this and was like, oh my God, I got to go live right now. The
Emirates Cup.
Lakers are that obviously didn't happen. But my question to you is this. When we initially got this NBA Cup thing that was going to happen, when we initially got this kind of idea of this in-season tournament, and then now we got a couple years under our breath. What's kind of your take on the entire Cup?
Listen, I know what they're trying to do. It's soccer. They have like listen, I'm not gonna act like I'm some soccer expert, but I know like in the Premier League and everything overseas, they have a mid-season cup. That's like a big deal. If you win it, it like actually means something. People brag about it. It's something that you would look at like you won an NBA championship. It feels, listen, it does something to spruce up the season. If I was going to do it, I would rather do this. I would rather have it literally be our March Madness thing, a week in Vegas, where every single team qualifies. There's no cup, there's no group play, and you just play in a bracket. I think that would be more fun. I think from a gambling perspective, it would make more sense. That's how you get people involved who are maybe casuals who aren't watching the NBA regular season. How do you get bets? How do you get people betting at the sportsbook about this thing with odds for each team, kind of like a March Madness thing? It was cool the first season. Last year, it felt a little forced because there's not really anything to it. I didn't like that the Lakers hung a banner with it. I thought that was kind of pathetic, if I'm being honest. The Lakers hang championships, not NBA Cup championships. But what do you think? Do you get up for those games or what?
Okay, so I think there's no risk in trying something different. I think that the regular season, you said it a little bit earlier, it's 82 games anyway. See if you can kind of just add a little wrinkle to this that's a little bit different. I'm fine with all of it. Here are my issues with the NBA Cup. Couple things. Number one, they're pushing too hard to make this like it's a big deal, and it's not.
Right.
I don't like that. It's inauthentic. Even listening to the broadcasters, I think ESPN had the cup and it was like the excitement for this, I'm like, guys, just can we stop pretending? Just let this thing be. Let it like naturally, organically grow to what you want it to be. And I think it's never going to be probably what their vision is, but you never know. Maybe down the road, they add some different elements to it. Maybe the championship game is not in Vegas. Maybe it's international. Like, I don't know what their vision is for it. Maybe they add a couple Euro teams. I don't know what their ultimate vision of this thing is, but can we just let this thing happen naturally? I thought the courts thing is probably a little bit, again, trying just so hard for attention. And then the last thing for me, and I'm with you as well, I think the banner thing was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And I've said that before, and people are like, it's not that big of a deal.
No, it's dumb.
It's you literally have the banner next to the Showtime era championships. Like it's you got it next to Kobe and Shaq's championships.
Yeah. And remember the year the Lakers won it? You felt like every
Sammy, can I just say this? And I don't even mind it. I'm okay with the cup. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's just a couple things where it's like you're trying to oversell something that just let it happen naturally.
Yeah, and it's like, I remember the year the Lakers won it, and it felt like with AD and LeBron, every game you squeezed out as a win was a big deal because it was like it felt like everyone was getting injured all the time. And the final game doesn't even count for the record. So Anthony Davis, didn't he have like 40 points or something like that? And it doesn't count. They won it like a basically.
Well, remember after they won 2, they went on this like 3-10 stretch that they basically shot all their bullets for the NBA Cup. And then the rest of the regular season, they were, obviously they were struggling from there. So I thought that part was pretty funny too.
Yeah, I like that they're trying to do something.
Yeah.
I was all for, I've always thought, and it's always been thrown out, don't even mess with the NFL season. Start the season on Christmas and let it run through right now.
I think that's interesting. I've heard that argument before. I think that's really interesting.
Like, we're in such a dead zone. Again, I like baseball, but it lacks the ability of like, wow, they lost this game. Like, they're going to lose 9-1 some nights or, to 8-2. Like, it's kind of like that. And it lacks this kind of this.
It lacks urgency.
Right.
Baseball lacks urgency. That's what it lacks because there literally is no sense of urgency. There's 162 of them.
Like the Dodgers are on a 6-game losing streak and they're still 5 games up in the division. I mean, it's how like kind of nonchalant it is. You have to talk over chunks when you're talking about baseball. Whereas if the NBA was going right now, I'm sure baseball would absolutely hate it if they were running up against the NBA because this is kind of their period. I think it would be fun and you kind of capitalize. Maybe you do the NBA Cup in Vegas, kind of make it a summer league type environment. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I've seen some stories behind this before of, I think it was like ways to fix the NBA. And I want to say Bill Simmons had done like a podcast on it and they talked about what's the ideal start date for the NBA. I think it's interesting. I really do. I think that piece is, if you told me that the NBA started, even if they don't start on Christmas, let's just say they start December 1st. Okay. And then it gives like a 3-week kind of build up and, the game and the play is a little bit better. So by the time you get to Christmas, you're getting a little bit better of a product. Guys got a couple of weeks out. But if you went December 1st instead of, whatever you pick whichever date it is. And I know right now they start it's basically like 13th October or something like that. And then you ran it all the way through July, basically by August 1st, you're like, all right, we're done. Now NBA free agency can start and all that stuff. What a beautiful transition right into football as well.
Well, and think about if you're the NBA. If you start in December, you're missing most of college football. All you got is bowl games, which are pretty much meaningless anymore outside of the college football playoff. Yep. People, don't care about the Cheez-It Bowl in Texas. Yep. So you'd miss that. You're coming down the
just out of curiosity, why go after the Cheez-It Bowl? Like, out of all the bowls you could have gone after, why the Cheez-It Bowl?
I will watch.
Are you not a Cheez-It fan?
Have you? No. We love Cheez-Its. That's no shot against Cheez-Its.
I have a problem with Cheez-Its. I can't stop eating them.
Oh, well, that's true. There's something in them that you're like,
no, there's a chemical like imbalance that they put in like into your head. I can't stop eating them.
You know what's weird about Cheez-Its is you can eat it and then you'd be like, I'm done. But to your point about the chemical imbalance,
14 seconds later, your hand's going right back in.
You're like an addict. Like, you're like, I can't stop that. Yeah. Cheez-Its, I purposely don't. They're the number one travel food though.
Okay, I rudely interrupted the Cheez-It Bowl. Keep going. What you were saying?
No, I'm just saying you have the the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. There's some great names actually, but the last thing, the Mayo Bowl. Have you seen that where they dump the coach in mayo? It's awful.
Yeah, I think that's not good. But the point you're making is that by the time you get to December,
you're past all that.
By the way, and you basically got a month of competition with football. Because come January anyways, what are the NFL games? They're on Saturday, they're on Sunday. They're going to kind of have their piece of the pie. Everyone's going to watch them anyways, and there's nothing you could do about that.
Right. So you're only competing with them for a couple months. And I think the problem, people hate on the NBA and they go, oh, no one's watching and it's too long and no one cares about switch to cheese nips. No one cares about it, is because I think people's mind is in college football in December. You're on the playoff run for the NFL, and we all know the NFL's king. I think it would be a really smart business decision. Now, the MLB would hate it. I mean, they would hate it, but then again, the MLB, if they shorten their season, they would have a better product too.
All right. I know where are you getting your Emirates NBA Cup tattoo? Where are you getting that?
I was thinking
shoulder.
I mean, listen.
I know you love the Emirates NBA Cup.
Are we bringing the tramp stamp back?
I didn't know that's where we were going today, man. I didn't know, Sammy. We'll find out. Yeah, we'll find out if that's going to make a return.
Well, listen. First preview video next year, we'll show you where it is. Maybe it'll be a surprise. Maybe we'll get kicked off the air.
Sammy getting the NBA Emirates NBA Cup tattooed somewhere. Hopefully not.
Do you think I'd make the NBA ESPN broadcast if I did that?
No.
I mean, it's free promotion.
I know, but I don't think that's the promotion they're looking for. I don't think that's the one.
They are in Vegas.
We'll find out. Yeah, in Vegas, you're right. In Vegas, probably so.
Genius marketing. You know, everyone that stands on the corner. You know, we don't want to get too risky here, but you know what I mean. They NBA could do some things to up this.
They could do some things.
Yeah.
All right, Sammy. We'll do it again next Thursday. We'll have a week under our belt of Summer League, so we'll get a chance to see what all that looks like. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for coming on.
Alan, you're the best, dude. Chat. Thank you, everybody.
All right, that's Sammy Long right there. Go work, Sammy. Good work, Sammy. Okay, let me look at a couple things here, and then we'll keep things going here. So I'm looking at a couple of the comments. I know I wasn't really looking at a lot of these comments while Sammy was on. Just a couple things to kind of go back to here real quick. The Giannis thing I do think is interesting. I think I've said this before. Keep an eye out on Giannis. I'm not talking about now. I'm not talking about when the season starts, but get kind of closer to that trade deadline. Where are the Milwaukee Bucks? If we're sitting here a year from now and Giannis goes out of the playoffs again and now is on the final year of his contract in Milwaukee and he doesn't like the future, I think that's obviously going to be very, very interesting. Okay, let's get a couple comments in. Let me take a look here at a couple of these comments. Nice job, Sammy. Okay. Everyone at 12:30 Pacific, first Summer League games on ESPN. Yeah, they're going all day. And that's kind of going to be how it's going to be the rest of the way. So I think that's going to be fun to see some of these Summer League games. All I care about, I just want to watch some youngsters, that got a chance to make it happen in the league. This is our first chance of getting an opportunity to see them. So I always got a lot of curiosity in regards to that. Okay. Shout out here to Lexus Santa Monica. Let me kind of break down a couple of things for everybody here real quick. If you're in a lease right now and you're saying to yourself, all right, my lease is about to expire, or I'm in a lease and I'm not happy with the car that I have. My payments are way too high, and maybe I got sold into something that I'm not crazy about. Maybe you're in the business of trying to get a new car. You've been very patient and it's time you want to buy a new car. Maybe you're interested in the used market, a pre-owned car. That's I've mentioned to you guys this before. That's how I've typically bought my cars. Lexus Santa Monica is where you should start. Start at LexusSantaMonica.com. The owner/GM of the dealership, Matt Unger, over at Lexus Santa Monica. I'm going to put his email address here. I encourage anybody who's just in the market for a car and has no idea where to start, what to do, go to Matt Unger first. Trust me when I tell you go to Matt Unger first. It doesn't even matter whether you're looking for a Lexus or any type of car that you're looking for. He's got connections throughout the state of California. He can help you. On top of that, what I would encourage everyone to do is, if you're looking for a car, try to make some type of a purchase that you feel like is not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but is a little bit more of a long-term plan. That's Lexus. They're dependable cars. They're reliable cars. I'm driving my car right now, and I've had a Lexus now. I've been driving Lexus for over 15 years. I just believe in the product. They last forever. I have 180,000 miles on my car right now, and it basically drives like it's brand new. Literally, I'm not kidding. That's what Lexus is. Lexus is obviously in the Toyota family, and that's what these cars are known for. They're known for being around for a long time. Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com. Matthew Unger at lacarguy.com. Send the guy an email if you're in the business of looking for a car, or if you want to just send the guy an email and say, hey, thank you for supporting the channel. However you guys want to get in touch with him. I know he can help you if you're looking for a car, and certainly he is a supporter of the channel and somebody that's out here and trying to help our listeners. So thank you very much to Matt Unger and to Lexus Santa Monica for being partners. They are promoting the 2025 all-electric Lexus RZ right now, LexusSantaMonica.com. Okay, I got a couple quick other things I'm going to get into, and then we're going to call it a day. Couple kind of stories out there, rumors out there. I did see this. Jalen Williams close to an extension with the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are, it's kind of interesting. They're going, let's just say that, you go win an NBA championship and you got three young studs like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams, and Chet Holmgren. Now, they're different levels of stars. Shai's the MVP. The other two players are just, they're not even close to their prime yet. So what these players are going to be. But the latest story out there is that probably going to get a Jalen Williams extension here pretty soon as well. I thought this was an interesting story. Norman Powell had no idea that this trade was coming. Here's what he said. I didn't know what to think at first. I mean, it's been crazy the last couple of weeks just from talking to Lawrence Franks in my exit meeting and what they're telling me. Then he says, when I got the call and they said I was traded, obviously it's a shock because you're not expecting it. You just had a career year. Says he could potentially be an all-star down the road. Excited to be in Miami. But I did think that was interesting that he had, obviously I'm not shocked he had no idea. I don't know if the Clippers thought they were going to trade Norman Powell, but everybody just believes that was the first initial step to them eventually going out there and getting Bradley Beal once he's bought out in Phoenix. Still no news on that, by the way. I think everybody thought that might be going down on Monday, and still nothing else has happened in regards to that. The last NBA story I'm going to get into, we finally heard from Michael Porter from the Denver Nuggets, or used to be with the Denver Nuggets. I feel like my ceiling had kind of plateaued. Sometimes you see a player leave a certain situation, and Michael Porter Jr. is a champion. Michael Porter Jr. had a very successful run with the Denver Nuggets. I think it was time for him to go. So I think it's going to be interesting to see him somewhere else. I don't think he's going to have nearly the team success he was having in Denver, but he might have more individual success. So something to keep in mind in that front. The last story that I saw was the Devin Booker deal. Devin Booker, let's see what he got here. A 2-year, $145 million maximum contract extension with the franchise. So he's going to be there through 29 and through 30. To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure what Devin Booker sees in the Phoenix Suns and what he sees in that ownership, other than they're going to pay him an unbelievable amount of money. I don't know what they've shown or proven for Devin Booker to give that team and that ownership the comfort of saying, hey, I'm not even going to look anywhere else. I think he lost probably a lot of his, the pressure that he can put on that franchise. But I don't know where the Phoenix Suns are going. It actually, for the first time, because they're doing what they're doing, it does feel like they have sort of a plan, because they're not sticking with KD and Bradley Beal and pretending like everything's okay. But I think it's fair to say that that franchise is all over the place. Okay, let me read a last couple of your comments, and then we're going to call it a day. The last thing I'm going to put on here is I am putting a link to, if you want to be an MVP member, $3 a month to support the channel. There's a link right there if you guys would like to become members. So thank you very much for everybody who's already a member. I don't understand the Powell trade. Honestly, I think the only thing I can understand with the Powell trade is they think Bradley Beal's coming. That's it. That they're going to get John Collins from the Utah Jazz, somebody that will be able to come in probably in the starting lineup. John Collins, Ivica Zubac, Kawhi Leonard. They're assuming Bradley Beal is going to come sign with them. And then they got James Harden as a point guard. That's the only thing I could think of. This Mavs team is not the team that went to the finals. All right. Let's see a couple more here. I would have kept Norman Powell. Denver, best trade ever. Yeah, Denver had a really nice offseason. That's the one thing I always look at the Lakers and I look at their situation right now is it almost has less to do with what the Lakers do. It has more to do with what else is going on around the league. Well, go look at what's going on around the league. Don't tell me Houston's not better. Don't tell me Denver's not better. And OKC's in the driver's seat right now because they won 68 games. There's no pressure on them anymore. And they're going to bring everybody back. And they're going to be just as good as they were a year ago, if not even better, because they got more and more experience. All right, my people. One quick point here that I'm going to make, and then we're going to call it a day. I'm back on tonight. I will be back on tonight, and we will do a little post-game show after the Lakers take on the Dallas Mavericks in Summer League. It's Cooper Flagg's first game. It's going to have some good buzz around it. So I'm like, you know what? No, let's do a little post-game show action, and we can make it happen from there. So we'll do that. And then, so I'll be back on tonight. And then of course we'll close things up tomorrow with another show on, at 8 a.m. Last one I'm going to read here. Dave, should we read anything into the fact that LeBron still hasn't communicated, but Luka has? Yeah, I saw that story. I saw that. Actually, I saw that it was, an interview that Ayton was having with, on 710 with Sedano and Cap. And, it was interesting. That was interesting. I honestly, maybe it's not a story, but I think just the mere fact that there's this weird vibe between LeBron and the Lakers right now, anything's a story. So if he's heard from Luka, but he hasn't heard yet from LeBron, I think it's fair to try to make something out of nothing potentially. Or, you're going to say, well, why has he not reached out? So I don't know what to tell you about that. I would just say that based off of what this offseason has been so far for LeBron, there's a lot of questions out there of, what's his relationship right now with the front office? Is he mad at the front office? Does he want to stay with the Lakers? Does he not want to stay with the Lakers? Does he feel disrespected? So I think there's maybe I think it's very difficult not to pretend like there's nothing, but like somebody else is saying right here, it is the summer. Maybe he doesn't have to reach out. Maybe he doesn't. But it's tough not to think there isn't anything behind it because of just how the summer has gone so far. But for all I know, there's probably nothing behind it. All right, my people, thank you very much for being a part of the show. Thank you for being a part of the chat. Shout out to Lexus Santa Monica. Of course, shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Thank you to Sammy for joining the show. Please subscribe to the channel. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you tonight after the Lakers take on the Dallas Mavericks in the debut of the Summer League. Thank you, everybody.